This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Okay, so just to recall wherever we were just trying to do some application setup, right? And yeah, so we made some components, Docker imaging, and yeah, so we were in there. So I will just go with IntelliJ. So I'll go with Mumbai region. Let me create a server so that we'll go back and we're just doing some Docker composing and we're creating multiple components of the application, right? So what all is needed, we're just adding. We added some environment variables, we added some ports, okay? So, and we added some container names. So far we have done that particular part in the Docker Compose, okay? So Docker Compose is all about to create multi-containers in the single shot. On that particular perspective, we are using Docker Compose. And yeah, so let's try to proceed the same thing. So for that, I require an instance, and I will go with the spot and I will create one instance. Okay, just my system is a kind of hung. I'm just cleaning it up. All right, cool. And okay, and the next thing is we had the code here. Repos and I think we made it in the Docker Compose. Here we are writing it, right? Yeah, so I'll just clone this one. So I'll just go to the is clone this one and just go for git space clone. So cd docker images, cd compose ls docker hyphen compose up hyphen d. So just pulling the images, the other day it didn't work actually, right? So it was having some problem. So let's find out what is the problem and how do we solve that. Cool. And I have this. So then you're going to have Docker PS, Docker PS -a. Okay, so which you can see the containers which are running. Okay, so let's come back to the what we were actually. Now, yeah, this is not working. So I just go and hit this particular server and I take this, put it on the browser and hit an enter. So you get this. You're not getting some categories. Okay, why are you not getting categories? And if I look into the logs, so Docker logs and you Docker logs and you take this and put this. Now it is telling you that it is actually looking for, API catalog is actually looking for a directory. So that means whatever the reverse proxy you have given for Nginx is not working. Docker exec -it, so whatever you have here, okay, and I will just go for bash. If I go inside that, do ls, so cd/etc nginx ls a cat nginx.conf file, and so whatever I'm giving the reverse proxy is actually not working. Why this is not working? Okay, so because there is some line actually which is here, include. There is some line which is mentioning include this particular one, which it is actually including cat conf.d and then some default.conf file. Actually, it is including this, and only this one is working. The other configuration which you made it is been overridden now because there is a duplicate. Here you have server with the port 80, so this also with the server port 80. Okay, you're already having that. So the two configurations you have, the latest configuration is overriding the latest, old one. So first it loads this one, and then it comes and loads this one as well, and it is overriding. So one thing what I want to do is I don't want this particular conf.d and then default.conf file. I don't want that particular file.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
Raghu, Vivek here. Raghu, you actually, I want to ask you. Could you please explain the C groups and namespace concept also later, or at your suitable time?
So C group and namespace of the kernel.
Yes, yes, yes.
I already gave some context already some time back. I think you might be there or not there on that session.
So I think I was not there at that time. So
Yeah, just
okay,
go back to
if you have already explained, so I will be watching your video. No issues.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. So we remove this configuration. So ps hyphen if ps if you give ps command is not there. Anyhow, this will not work. If I have ps command, so probably I can just kill the process and I can put it little much. But I want to do as a part of imaging. Anyhow, I have to make the changes over here. So for that, making the changes, what I can do, come to the front end in the Docker file. So what you're having, you're copying your configuration. Along with this, what do you want is rm-f/etc/nginx/conf.d default.conf. So this is the change, and I push that particular change now, and this push the change will trigger the CI, right? Automatically. Let's go to the pipelines, and you will see the front end is already running, and it makes the new image now. Now the new image is going to get one new number, and I'll update that in my Docker Compose.
Raghu, one more thing. Can you, can you please large your screen, zoom? Oh. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so it is pushed and we get a new number, and what is that number is 296, right? So we'll just take that and update here in the Docker Compose. The front end 296. So let's push this. And it's gonna be Docker -compose down, and then and git space pull and Docker -compose up -d, so that in a single shot you will tear down, you'll pull the changes, and so yeah. Now let's go back there. So try to refresh. Now you are able to see the logs. Sorry, not logs. The categories. Okay, you see here. So the categories are coming. Okay, that means that piece is catalog piece. Whatever we are working on is working fine. Okay, catalog piece is working fine. So catalog needed, the backend, which is MongoDB, and that piece is also so you can keep it out there. All right. So the next thing, okay, so next piece of work is now if I just go and try to register, and I'll just say that, my name is Raghu, whatever it is. So now my registration is not working. So why the registration is not working? Let's go into the logs. So Docker PS. First, the front end is the one who is responsible for all the logging, right? So where it is, why it is a failure on the front end, so it's been coming here. Docker logs -f, because the backend services are API services, which are just been reverse proxy by your web server. Now here, what is the issue you are getting is you are getting the issue which is login. You're actually trying to do some /login, which is /API/user register, is actually failing. Okay, so it is telling /API user register is something so which it is looking for user nginx. This is a it is looking for a failure message. But whatever it is, for register, it is actually going to 127.0.0.7/register, and that is a failure. And of course, we didn't fix that particular piece, and we'll just go and do that as well. Now we are going to go with a user service, and you will go with, and you need to fix the Docker file. And the Docker file, there is nothing much to fix here because it's as simple as your the Docker file of catalog. Why? Because there might be some changes, because this is also a Node.js service. Now Node 10 make dir app, and workdir is /app, copy the package.json file and server.js file. Yes, it is fine. npm install on node server.js. Yes, as is, no difference. So now I can push this particular code and go to the UI and go to the pipelines. There is no user service here, so set up a go to the repos and go to the user service. So now you can set up a build, and the steps also you can keep it as is probably. So Azure pipelines, you just take this much and put it here, click on OK. what are the things you need to change? So here it is a catalog, and you would be changing this as user, and here also you would change this as user. This change you can do. Now come back to the again the repo and set up a build. Now Azure Pipelines is already there, so set up a build, and you can say that so this is mine, right? So just click on run. This will go ahead and create a pipeline and run as well, both. And by the way, let's look into the code of this. Okay, so just to understand, this depends upon a couple of things. Okay, so which if you look in here, it actually looks on certain things, which is it looks for Redis, majorly looks for Redis, and also it looks for database. Two things it looks for. So that means in order to run my card service, so there should be a Redis service as well. So for Redis, I'll just take the Redis image, okay, and I'm done. Okay, and I will go to the Docker Compose file, and here you have MongoDB, and the same way I'm going to go for Redis, calling it as Redis. Container name is Redis, and the public image I'm going to use is also Redis only, because I don't need to load any schema or something like that. I'll just use this much, a public image directly. Redis. Okay, and also it actually I think this is fine. It opens some port number 6739 or something. We'll just use that 6739 or 6379, whatever it is. Okay, it will open one port number. So now all I need to tell here is, and one more thing I want to do here is so like however you have catalog, you would be going with this one catalog, and this is actually going to be a user service, and container name is user, and the data, this is user, and the user, what is the number now you got? 297. Okay, the image is 297, and MongoDB is this one, so slash users, because this talks to a different database, user talks to a different database, and catalog talks to a different database, and also it depends upon MongoDB, so that it just depends on MongoDB. Okay, so this much. And also it does require one more environment variable now. Okay, what is that environment variable? We look into the server.js. So here I have given mongo underscore URL. It is reading the same way. Redis also, it reads the same way. Redis.
Hi Raghu, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Raghu, let's say you have different microservices, card, catalog, user, right? And I mean, in this case, you are doing in a particular server, in only one server, and you are using Docker Compose, right? So, hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if each microservice will deployed in in separate servers, right? I mean, let's say two microservices in one server, two microservices in different servers. So how will you implement? How will you give inside a Docker Compose? Let's say if a particular service is in running on different servers, so how will you I mean give that particular service inside the Docker Compose?
So that is a different concept, orchestration tool. You have to implement. If you go for multiple nodes, you have to implement orchestration. That's where the Kubernetes comes into picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, for with Docker Compose, it is possible or not? I mean, we
Behind
can
the scene,
give.
Docker Swarm should be there. Behind the scene, orchestrator should be there, and the Docker Swarm, yes,
Mhm.
it uses Docker Compose, and you can do that.
Okay, so with the help of Docker Swarm or Kubernetes, we can use Docker Compose in this way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now another one, so which we are going to put it is Redis here. Okay, so Redis underscore host name is Redis because I'm giving the container name as Redis, and container to container communication happens the name we already seen that, right? Like MongoDB, you see the MongoDB, putting the MongoDB name. Okay, so just try to build up here and push this, and this changes I want to run it here. So again, just by running this command. Okay, cool. And now you can see the user is also coming up and Docker PS. And I would like to give, and again, the front end also you need to fix. We unnecessarily pushed it and run it. Okay, so the front end also we need to tune it now. Now we are actually putting a Docker Compose file in Nginx. And here you're not dealing with the user, right? So you just need to uncomment this. It's actually user is going to be port 7007. You have to enable that as well. Okay, so without that, it will not work. So again, I push some changes, the front end will run, the front end number will change. So 298 is something I got it. 2298. Come back here. So it's done. Now let's go back here and try to look in here. Just go for, let's go to login once again. I would like to go and give. So it is not registering. Now where is the error? Okay, so let's take a look. Docker PS. So first look into the web server, Docker logs -f, this one. So what it is telling, it's actually going with /API register user. It's still going with 127.0.0 or 17007/register. Come on, no, this is not correct actually. Now if I go for docker exec-it and I go for bash, so cat /etc nginx and nginx.conf file, and you are getting some other configuration here. Why docker-compose dot this one, and in the docker file are you not copying that? Oh, okay, nginx docker compose file. Okay, all right. So 299. Again, Docker PS, Docker PS. Hey, where is 80 port? So that's failed actually. Docker PS-A, and this is actually failing. Okay, and Docker logs -this. There is server directory. Server directive is not allowed here. Okay. What is the difference between the Docker compose file? Okay. Okay. So then let's fix this one only. I think we are using the right one. I am actually doing mistake. So we written a different Docker compose file, but we don't want this. Let me remove this first of all. Delete it. I don't want this. So here all you need to do is API user, you need to update the service as user. Okay, cart. So you have to update it as cart. That's it. Okay, this much you have to do here. I'm expecting 300 number, let's see. So Docker build is a failure. Why? Because it is telling that no such file or directory. That's why didn't I modify that. 301. Now it is running. Let's go for Docker logs and just give this. Okay, and let's follow the logs as well. All right, let's come to the UI and again Raghu and then Raghu. Click on register. Now it got registered. Okay, because that microservice piece is working and it went ahead and hit the proper service and all worked fine. Okay, so now I'll just come to the product. I can just see the add to cart. Adding to the cart object is is failing. Okay, so yeah, now the next thing which is having a problem here is cart. Cart is not working as expected. Let's go to the Docker file. We already have cart image, which is fine. But where we have some problem here is, if you look into the dependencies of cart, what cart is actually looking for. Like my catalog is looking for MongoDB, and the same way my user service is actually looking on Redis. This guy is looking on a couple of things. So what this is looking for, he's a dependent on the Redis underscore host and catalog underscore host. So he's dependent on two things, and he required that particular variables. Where those variables we haven't gave for cart. So cart image still same, but these environment variables need to be added. So Mongo is not needed for this guy, and this guy depends upon catalog. Okay, so I'll just go to server and say catalog this, and go for this. And what is a catalog endpoint? The catalog endpoint is this one, and you can just give catalog endpoint is catalog. And also this guy, sorry, not this guy. This guy depends upon whom now? This guy depends upon, if he just comes on his own, it is a problem. This guy depends upon this, and this guy depends upon Redis as well. Okay, and in fact, even here, this guy also depends upon Redis. Otherwise, it will throw errors. Okay, so just to avoid those particular errors, so now push it. Just put it here and rerun once again. So because there is a change in cart. Cool. So I'll go from starting once again, click on starting. So click on login, and you already registered. I probably give my registration. So Raghu, just log in. It's not found up. Why? Okay, because we recreated once again, right? So Raghu @ local.com, Raghu, and then Raghu you are getting. Click on register. Okay, and click on login. Click on any product. Now click on add to cart. Now it is added to cart. Okay, so the three components which is fixed. Now click on checkout now, and this should be looking for some shipping information. And this shipping information is again a microservice. Okay, there's another microservice here, and we'll be dealing with that. Okay, so shipping I have is a shipping service. You just go here, shipping, you have this one. All right, and we are going to have a new file, Docker file, and from you're going to go for a image called as Java, because that's a Java service and I want Java. So if I look for hub.docker.com, so what is the image for Java? If I search here, you will get the image. So the Java image is there, and the tag, probably there are a lot of tags might be. You have 16 version, but I'm more looking, I think Java 8 should be fine actually. Okay, so that is where anything 8 if I filter, so you are getting yeah, you see this Java 8U something you are getting. And also all the list of tags also you'll find out in the description if I'm not wrong. Are they giving or they're not giving all the list of this one? No. Okay, that's fine. So you have to search, no other option. Okay, sort by something, just click on next, and you should be able to search them. I know that, so I think Java 8 is something which we have. Okay, so we can just use Java 8. So you will get Java. Fine. Once after you get the Java, so what you're going to do is you do require to let's say I'll just go for run mkdir/app and I'll just go for workdir/app and cmd copy. There is already a shipping.jar file which is a compiled file. Either you can do this or you can compile here. So there is something called as multi-stage building. We'll just go there later at this point of time. So I'll just put it here. I just want to make it working. then we'll make the changes. So here, and the CMD is actually going to be is Java. How do you run this? -jar, and then shipping.jar file. Okay, so the next thing is just make some CI. Okay, so the CI part actually you can copy it from here and Azure pipelines, and you paste it here. Okay, and what you're doing is so here it is not catalog, it's actually doing shipping. Just go for shipping. Okay, and also at the same time you will go with the front end, and front end also you'll get updated. So what is the front end you're going to update is the shipping. You should be going with the name called as shipping. Okay, you push this much change, and the same way the Docker Compose also you will be getting like you'll be doing something like that. Okay, so this is shipping, this is shipping, this is shipping, some number it will come. Now it also depends upon some environment, okay, and something. Okay, so what all those things it does depends upon. Let's take a look the Java code. I'll just go to src, and there is something called as main.java, and this also looks on two things. Okay, it is looking for cart endpoint and DB host. Okay, this requires a MySQL database. We need to add the MySQL database. So cart underscore endpoint is something it is looking. Okay, so which I'll add this here. So cart underscore endpoint, and also DB underscore host. Okay, these are the two things. What is a cart endpoint? Cart endpoint is cart colon 7000 port. Okay, the DB host, I'll just say that MySQL, but this MySQL is not there. I will just go and give MySQL. Okay, the image I'm going to use is also MySQL, but it requires schema. Like however we have with Mongo, so here MySQL also have a schema. So the schema, if you see here, you have shipping.sql file. Ratings were not doing this, so I can delete this. So you have shipping.sql file. I need this particular SQL file. Like however I have dealt with the MongoDB. How I dealt with the MongoDB, take a look. Go with the MongoDB and look into the Docker file. So what you're doing is you're just adding catalog.js file in this particular endpoint, and automatically it loads the schema. And here also I'll use the same thing. Okay, so I will just go with MySQL. I'll just copy this Docker file, put it here. Okay, go to here, and here you're going to say that I'm going to go for shipping.sql file, and so the MySQL image also supports the same thing. So that's the reason I'm just doing this. Now I'm going to use MySQL colon, especially I require 5.7 version. This application is compatible with 5.7. I know that. I'm giving, otherwise you end up with an error. Again, you come back and look into the compatibility. So this something I know about this. I'm just adding 5.7, and I'm making my own image, right? So how do I make my own image? With the help of Azure pipelines. Okay, here it is. So here it is MySQL. Here it is MySQL. Okay, and I'm going to push this much. And MySQL, while you're running, MySQL will not run. If you look into the MySQL image, MySQL will not run unless until you provide some password. MySQL, it will not run unless until you provide one. We provide one password. So it's see this password is mandatory. So what is the variable for this? MySQL root password. I'll just go with that. Where is MySQL? Yeah, here it is. And so MySQL image is something, and I'll go with environment and MySQL. So probably I want to give root 123. So this will standardize later. We should not actually keep the passwords inside inside the Git repository, right? So that later you will see that in the orchestration tool you can do in a better way. Okay, but not here. Now you require image. Let's go and get that. Go to the repos, go to the MySQL, and you set up a build. There's already a file, and just click on run. So what it does is, along with the MySQL also supports SQL, or what is that? Entry point. Yeah, you see this initializing a fresh instance. So you can put like .sh or .sql files inside docker entry point init docker entry point init directory. It automatically loads those particular files. So that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so something is changed here. So I'll just go with the Docker push 303. Okay, so this is what you have. And also I want this as a container name particularly. I would like to go with container name is MySQL. Okay, MySQL. And this guy actually depends upon MySQL. Okay, so that's where you have given the container name as MySQL, and now this guy can communicate to that guy as with MySQL. Now this is the whole compose file. Now let's go and take a look how it works. There is some problem. What is the problem with the shipping? Shipping is wrong, right? So shipping is not done. I'll just go to the pipelines and you will not see shipping. Okay, I'll go to the repos and I will say shipping. And the shipping, you didn't set up the build. I'll just go with the setting of the build and you have shipping. Just click on run. Three 304. So the Docker push is completed. Okay, now Docker appears. Let's look for the issues. I mean, not issues, the logs of Docker logs of this one. Until now it is fine. I'll just go for Docker log checking of this one. And where I am here it is. Just go here, and it's a new service. I have to register once again. Let's go with Raghu and then Raghu. So I will just go back to here, add some product like add to cart, and just say cart, and click on checkout. And you are supposed to get the list of countries here, but let's see, are you getting the list of countries? You might not get it. Why? Because I'm not sure. Need to see. So it will not take this much time. If it is taking, means there is something wrong here. Okay, so what is that wrong? Let's find it out. So first thing, let's look into the log. My shipping didn't got a hit. If a hit came, so there should be some log generated. So first of all, it's failing in the very first place of are in the very first place, which is front end. Okay, so if you look into the logs, the Docker logs of this one, so it is actually failing because it is actually going with so slash shipping, and shipping you haven't configured. Okay, so if I just go with Docker ps Docker exec -it, this one, bash cat /etc nginx file. So the shipping is still localhost, but we already fixed shipping localhost to front end shipping localhost here. We already updated, I think, to localhost shipping to shipping, but there is a build number has been generated. That build number I need to bring it and update there. Front end, go to the latest run, go to the job, publish, push 302. So 302 in the Docker Compose I have to give for front end. That is the front end. This is 301. So it is 302. I'll just push this, and that change I have to run here. Yeah, it came out. Let's go back once again. The same server. Just click on register. And come here, haul to cart, and go to the cart, checkout, and I should be getting the list of countries here. Now you see this, it's dropping down. So that means my shipping services work fine. So now there is only one last piece which is pending, which is the payment. If I'm hitting pay now, it is not working. Okay. If I hit pay now, it is not working. So then how do I need to fix that? So basically, it's payment service. Just go with the payment. Go to payment here. Now payment, whatever you're having here is, you should be having some Docker file, new file, Docker file. Okay, so now this is this is a Python service. I would choose Python :3 because I want the Python 3 version. Okay, and in this one I want to copy python dot rabbitmq.py, or first of all I will make run mk dir/app, and work dir is /app I'll make. Okay, so work dir/app, and what next? So work dir, you have it, and rabbitmq.py. So copy payment.py and copy payment.ini, and copy what is the last file you have there is requirements.txt file. So I think these are the files which is needed. Yeah, those are the files which are needed, and ultimately I'm going to run pip3 install hyphen what is a command, I don't know. There should be some readme, and readme is telling me that pip install -r requirements.txt file. So these are the things which I want. Okay, so I'll just go here, pip3-r requirements.txt file. So that installs all the dependencies. Okay, and finally, so I just want to go with cmd, and the cmd is actually going to run some service. Okay, so how did it run the service? So this is the command, it runs the service. I'm going to give that, and double quote, comma, double quote, comma, double quote. Okay, so this much. cmd is the default command, and it just so runs this particular payment.ini file, and payment.ini file is having this information. Okay, it opens on port number. It is actually opening a port 7002, which is payment service. Yeah, I think so. And the same thing, you should be going to the front end to cross verify. I'll go with the Nginx localhost, and payment is actually 7002. Ratings we're not using, ignore that. So the payment, finally you're going to have it as payment, this much. That's it. Now the payment also does require Azure DevOps pipeline file. So I'll just copy it here, and I will say payment, say payment. Now I'll go here, and this also payment will not work as expected. It will fail because it also requires some environment variables and things like that is there. So payment, but we will look into the errors and fix them. Okay, and the payment, but let's wait for the numbers. Now front end is also changing. And in the meantime, go to the repos, and I will say payment, set up a build, and you have everything, just come on. Go to the pipeline. So front end came up, and the front end, the number of the build number is it's actually 305. Front end is 305, so this guy will get 306. It's just an incremental number. So just look into the code, what are the dependencies it look for. Basically, if you go for payment.py, it actually look for two variables, cart underscore host, user underscore host. So these are the two things. Okay, I will just go and provide that information. First thing, environment cart underscore host, user underscore host. So user cart. Okay, these are the two variables it is looking for, and that's not quite enough. Why? Because it depends upon messaging queue also. It requires some messaging queue. So that's where the rabbitmq.py is also there. So here, rabbit. Fine. So rabbitmq is also there. Docker push it is 306. But for now, let's push this. It will not work. Why? Because rabbitmq is also needed. Okay. So we will just go for so the rabbitmq and we set it up. So let's go and okay. So find out what is the rabbitmq image which you have in here. Okay. Because these are the common services, I'm pulling the image direct images from these here. Okay. And rabbitmq, and I will go with here. I would like to go with RabbitMQ is fine, but one thing I needed here is I need to add one user. The main problem is I need to add one user, but how to add one user is what I'm looking. Okay, so and also if you go for tags, so management alpine is the one which we generally use, but management alpine is a very simple image you have. This is also okay, but management is what we need it. And in this one, that's okay. Let's give it a try. We need RabbitMQ. Let's go with RabbitMQ. RabbitMQ, and then container underscore name is RabbitMQ, and the image is also going to be RabbitMQ. Okay. So this doesn't require any of the values. It's just let's pull the latest image. And here in the environment, in the rabbitmq.py file, so the rabbitmq amqp host, which is given as localhost. So which I would change that to here as this one is rabbitmq. That's it. So we'll be hitting the rabbitmq, and the rabbitmq also come up, and it will throw an error. So let's go and run this. So if we fix this particular piece, all our application is ready. So now you understood how to make images and how to make it work with the Docker Compose the same way, how to make images and how to make it work. The Kubernetes is what we're going to look for. And the full pipelines we'll see, like CI plus CD together, we'll see in the ending.
Raghu, what is the role of RabbitMQ here?
Message queues, right? So the basically like a message queue, you generally like, let's say, it's a WhatsApp. Okay. So now I send a message to you on WhatsApp. You are not available. That means I am one system. I'm a publisher. I'm publishing one message, and you are a subscriber, and you have to receive that particular message. This is generally called as PubSub concept, right? Now you're down basically. So I try to deliver the message, you're down. So that means if I send a normal HTTP call, then what is the problem? I hit you, you are a failure, the HTTP call will end basically. That means my message is not delivered to you. So it just failed. For me, it will show as a fail. But is WhatsApp is working that way? No, WhatsApp is actually not taking as a failure, as it is a message basically, and that should be for sure should be delivered to the other party. So then what it is doing, we're putting a message queue in between. Now when I send a message, it actually goes into a message queue. Okay, and it will try to get it delivered to you. So if it is not delivered to you, just wait there until it gets delivered to you. And there is some limitation, like WhatsApp having some 15 days or 30 days, right? So Until then only it will deliver. After that, it will not be able to deliver, right? So the message queue is also the same concept. Now, one application is sending an information to the other application. Some reason, if that other application is down, is a problem. Okay, so why? Because your message, very critical message, will go away. So I'm doing the payment here, very especially as a user, I'm going to do the payment now. Now, while I do the payment, so if it is not actually, received by the recipient, my payment will go on air. So that means I did by payment, my amount is deducted, but end of the day, so it is actually not delivered to the person who actually supposed to ship your product, ship the product. It will never get shipped, right? The message is a critical thing there. And just to ensure the critical messages to deliver to the next system, we use message queues in today's world. RabbitMQ is a very old one. Kafka and all is kind of something which is today's trending tech there. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go with login. The product, go that to cart, and go to the cart, checkout, got the countries, just put Sydney or something, whatever it is, confirm. And if I hit pay now, it will be hitting the payment. Now also I'll just go and give Docker PS. I want to look the logs as well before hitting it. Let's see. Might not work. Did I update my payment? Yes. Then click on pay now. Order reviewed. Okay, I think it worked, which is not an issue. Okay, so the RabbitMQ worked. And if I go to the login now, it will show my orders. So the whole application is working with the whole application is actually working with this particular okay, Docker Compose. We just group certain containers and we just run it. And wherever you want to run it, you just take this simple Docker Compose file and you just run it, and you get that particular complete RoboShop setup. Okay, so that's how it makes your life little flexible, right? So, but it's on a single host, by the way. So, but if you want to manage it, microservices, and you want to deal with these particular services and these particular services, each and every service, you want to scale it and you want to get it communicated, all these things will be done through the orchestration layer. And in order to do that, you would learn about orchestration. So that's where from tomorrow we'll start the Kubernetes. But there are certain concepts around imaging. We'll talk about that today, and we'll close that. Before proceeding, any questions on this so far? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, just here, Raghu, in this IntelliJ, like how are the configurations here? Like that I understood, like how we compose and build the images. But in this, like if I have to configure the IntelliJ, like earlier we explained using the Terraforms here, but aligning to this, like there are different folder, right? How to configure the IntelliJ here? Like that I am finding a bit problem. If you can just explain it on high level, no? That thing.
Oh, you're seeing only Terraform. You want complete everything in one place. Is that your question?
Yeah, like actually that part I understood, like how I have to configure the Terraform. But how about this folder? If you can just explain it one more time, on a high level, I will get some idea.
No, what is your? That's what, like, I don't get your context.
See, first we have to create a project, right? Then how we have like segregated these folders, right? That part I am not getting. Like there are different files right here.
Yeah, segregating a folder is I'm just maintaining my folder structure. That's it, right? So K06. I just I have different folders there. Docker images is one folder, or which is a Git repository. Okay, this one is another repository. This is another repository. IntelliJ, what I have done is I opened this folder. In IntelliJ, what I have done, rather than opening a single repo, I am actually opening everything. Okay, now let's say, now if I just bring this here, assume that I don't have anything. Okay, it's clean. Okay.
Yeah.
So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on open. So rather than opening a single project, what I'm doing is I'm opening the complete folder. I just go to the repos and I go to the, your folder structure, you go there, and I have K06. I'm not opening, I'm just not opening this, and I'm actually opening complete CK06 and just click on open. That's what I'm doing, so that you will be seeing automatically those folders here.
Okay. And how to integrate like all of them, like one piece to another piece?
No
Like
integration.
one folder.
No
Okay.
integration. Those are simple individual folders.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. If no questions, so the next concept which we'll be talking about is makefile for push is not ethical, right? So I just want to save the time here. That's it. Okay. While I do the work, so I'll not do that, right? So you should not do this. I'm just only doing it for just to save the time. Okay. I'm just putting a rough comments, same comment all the time, which ideally in the work you will never do that, and don't get in that malpractice. It's a wrong practice. Okay. So here I'm doing only to save the time. That's it. Okay. So don't take. Okay, so it's a normal, whatever the git push and all you do, just follow the same standard. Okay, so this is not the right way. Okay. Yeah, coming to the next thing, there is something called as imaging. So Docker imaging layers. Okay, so how actually this imaging works, you should have a minimal idea. Okay, how the imaging works and things like that. So let's look into some Docker image, and you should be able to understand. All right. So all right, I think any image is okay. Now each and every step, whatever you make it in a Docker file, is actually going to bring one image. Okay, I think this makes more flexible for you to understand. So you can see here, each and every step you're going to make in Docker file is going to create one image layer in the backend. So you're having from Ubuntu, you have given, right? So you have given from Ubuntu. So from Ubuntu is actually going to be one container it is going to create first. It's going to create one container from the image, whatever you have given, right? Or from the step, whatever you have given, it will create one container. And actually it will store that particular container, convert into an image. Here only it is mentioned, it will create one image. So first it will do is create a container and run your step, and that particular one is actually converted into an image. Okay, so that's the first thing. And this, so first it is going to run. So you're going to run some container, and that particular container you're actually going to convert that into a base image. So here container is basically just you're taking a Ubuntu, you just take that particular one, run the container, you run the image. Okay, this intermediate image is done. Now the next layer, you're actually adding maintainer something, right? So this maintainer should be added into this information. So that's where it will create one more container. No, not from this. It will create one more container from this image, the intermediate image, whichever you have here, yeah, from this one. So it will just make here, and so over here, what it's going to do is so it will apply this particular instruction, and once after that is done, it makes one more image. So now this is the image you have. And now again one more instruction you have, it will just create a container again with this particular image. It will create a container, and that particular container is converted into an image, and again you have this image. And the same way again you have one more, so that means it launches a container with this, okay, with this image, and converts that particular one into an image. Now all these are intermediate images. All these are intermediate images, we call it as. Okay, each and every layer is going to have one image, and that is where Docker is actually handling the storage as well. I'm putting, you're having a Docker hub, right? You're having Docker hub. Docker hub, how they can provide this much big, user base in the backend? They require a lot of storage, right? Definitely, they require a lot of storage. Okay, then how do you handle, or you take any checksum storage? Basically, you use Nexus and all. What these guys does is actually, these guys actually goes with the checksum storage. Basically, they call it as checksum. Okay, whenever you look for any upload of the Nexus, actually you will see a checksum for that. Okay, that means, see, if I push one artifact that is having one checksum, and if I push another artifact which is the same thing, but I change some version number, the name of the file changed, but the content is still same. So that means the checksum always remains same, right? So like checksum is a pretty basic concept, right? In the operating system. So now let's say I have, so you have terraform.zip file. So I'll just go for MD5 sum. Any checksum is fine. MD5 sum is 1. Now it generates some sum and give it to you. Now copy the terraform.zip file, so which is a sample.zip file. Okay, you have this particular directory. Now I'll go and give checksum of sample.zip file. So the file name is changed, but the checksum still remains same. See this, the sum still remains same. So that means what is actually, when I upload this one to Nexus, saying these are the two different files, Nexus will consider that as the same file only, because it's actually going to generate some checksum, and even a single byte changes, the checksum changes. So if the checksum is same, that means those are same files. No doubt in that, those are same files. Okay, so it is actually going to compare the checksum. If the checksum changes, it maintains as another version. If the checksum is not changed, it will create a new entry pointing to the same old version only in the backend. It will really not actually put it as a separate file. So that's how these binary repositories so save some storage spaces, and this type of storage is called as checksum storage. Okay, and Docker registry also uses the same thing. Okay, now since you have layers basically, so then what's going to happen? Okay, so sometimes your base always, so let's say I have 10, what we call let's say when you have 10 steps in your Docker file, all the time only 2 steps changes, the last 2 steps only changes, the first 8 steps always remain same. Now the changes which actually it store is only the last 2 changes of each and every image. Okay, so if you just go for Docker images and you just go this Docker, or you especially look for front end, you look for front end, you have 2 images, right? So basically front end 230 also you have, or front end 305 you have. So Docker, Docker, how do I get images? This one :305, will it work? How you get intermediate images? I used -a all actually, or let me go with Docker inspect 305. Yeah, so these are the layers you're having. See this? Now let's put this layer in some notepad file. Let's try to compare. Now Docker images. So now what all we have changed? The last one file or 2 files where whatever you're copying is what you're changing, right? So something is actually is always same. So Docker inspect this one, and you're going to say it as 302, and you take these layers. And we'll go with split right? Yeah. Yeah. Now you can see this. So what all you have in common? So down you see this 1904, 1904. You know, these are two different images, by the way. For you it is two different images, but behind the scene layers is, you see this. Now this is, next one is F15, F15, 1603, 1603, and 1BE9, 1BE9, and 55033, 55033. Okay, 22EA89, 22EA89. But here A4893 and A4893, and other one is a 038 dB, 038 dB, and D0. Yeah.
I think both of files are same images, right?
Yeah, it seems to be something. What I am thinking is same. If it is same, means did I hit same? No.
No. Just open the VS Code.
Oh, VS Code. Okay, fine. Thank you. So this is the file I have to compare. Yeah. So yeah, you should be doing from the reverse way. Actually, we're doing from down to top. Actually, from top to bottom. Now you see this D0 D0F1, D0F1, and 00338, 0338, A4 2255, and 55 until 55 it is common. Until 55 it is common. The next things which are changing here is it has its own images. It has its own images. Now you push the both the images. Okay, so then whenever you try to push the images, did you ever observe, like, you know, the image already there or something like that? Okay, so now if you just go for, like, let's say I will go for Docker login. Or even I can show it from here. It will be showing up Docker push. Okay, here we can do. So cd Docker file mkdir, let's say sample. So cd sample and vim Docker file from CentOS:7, and now I'll say basically, like, let's say user add demo. Okay, and just 7 quit. So then I'll go and say that docker build uld-t slash sample colon 1 dot. Okay, and you have it. Now I'll go for Docker push. You just do this. So now you see this mounted from something it is telling. It's not saying it is pushed actually. Even here, you come back here, it's actually saying that, you know, so it is actually pushed, only this much layers it pushed, but the remaining is already there. You know, it is actually mounting from something, okay, which is already there. Now if I go for Docker file, and I will say some change here, some change demo1, and Docker build this one, and just go for Docker push. So now still only one layer it is saying that it is pushing. The other layer it is already saying that is already exists. Okay, it's never doing this. So the previously whatever you have 613b, you know, C0, the same one you have. Okay, it's not actually doing that. So it's a quite important actually, you know, so how it organizes the storage, and this is how it is how organizing the storage. So all happens on the layers, and an image you'll be having multiple you know, layers inside that. Okay, end of the day it doesn't really matter, but just as a concept I'm just talking about that. And also once you have your image, and finally what you're going to do is you're going to create, I mean, whenever you run a container, what happens is it launches one more layer on top of image, and makes that particular layer as read write. So all these layers are read only, but whereas the last layer which which is going to come out as when you create a container is basically container layer is nothing but a read write layer. But all these are image layers, and these are read only layers. You cannot change anything of this. Any changes you make it, actually this comes as a read write layer. Okay, so not really need to deep look into that, but having a knowledge is always a good thing. So but how it actually maintains the storage, how do you reduce the storage? Now this brings one standardization. Why especially I'm talking about this is this bring one standardization. So now whenever you'll be having any changes around your Docker file, all those changes try to keep it at the ending as much as possible. When you think of making some changes, okay, so now let's say for an example, I go with the Docker file. See, something this, npm install or whatever it is, something like this. So whatever the lines which changes, always try to keep it at the ending. While you keep it at the ending, so your image is actually going to behave faster. Why? Because if I just keep this npm install in the very starting of the line, and in the second line I'm changing, there are 20 lines after that, every 20 line will change. Every 20 lines will be changing because the very starting lines only will be changing. But whereas at the ending edge it is changing, the top layers are always common. Now while while pulling the images actually in the cluster in the real-time world, so pulling the images will be faster because the previous layers are already existed in the systems we are running the images. Only the high level layer is actually changing, which makes the things faster. Okay, so even a minute of time, but it matters, right? So sometimes, so that's where you have to keep in mind, and always try to make the very aggressive changes, which are very recursive changes, which is going to come out, which are the changes you are making. Always try to keep it at the ending, but not at the starting. Okay, actually on this particular perspective, the CMD is a good practice. Actually, if I go and keep it here, not at the ending, because the CMD never changes there. So probably npm install is the only command which might change because of the data comes in package.json. This npm install will change. Okay, so that's where okay, so these three are application files. These will change, not a problem, but until here it is common. Okay, so that's where I should actually keep the CMD in the very starting. I should never keep at the ending if I want to talk about that standardization. Got this? Is that point clear?
Yes, clear.
Yeah. And so one more standardization around the image is you have to think about the sizes. Okay, you have to think about the size. So for an example, I would like to take our example only, which is here. Go to the repos, and I would like to say shipping especially. I'll go to the shipping and go to the clone, this one. Now git space clone, do this. So cd, you have Docker file. Now go with the Docker file. Now here I don't want to copy the shipping.jar file, so I don't want to do this. Now I have already created this app. Now I want to copy src to d here and copy pom.xml to this. And in order to, let's say I want to go with CentOS 7, pretty simple, CentOS:7, and I'm going to go for run. Now let's say yum install epl-release, so that if you want to install some packages, you need this, and that's where I want to install a package called as minstall maven. Okay, and do this. I just took CentOS 7 machine. EPL release is going to bring the maven package. I installed EPL release. After that, install maven, and after that, okay, so I'm just copying those particular files, and finally I'm going to run. So mvn package, you're going to run this, and finally run, you're going to make some, so finally CMD, you keep it. Okay, that is okay. Let's make this much only. Okay, so docker build local dot -t local dot. Now let's see the image size.
Raghu, Java, yes?
Sorry,
Java is not required for Maven to run.
Maven will bring the Java dependency.
Okay.
Mumbai region is quite slow. Any questions in the meantime?
Raghu, what is the difference, like, if I wanted to run a jar file, like a containerizing application, instead of taking the JDK image, why can't I take CentOS and install the Java on the top of it and copying the jar file and run the jar file? Is it possible?
Yeah, I did that only, right now. I just took CentOS.
Okay.
And I did that, right?
Yes.
I took CentOS now.
Okay.
I installed Java, okay, which is Maven kind of thing. I'm just doing this. So now you'll see what is the problem there. Yeah, that's what we're trying to say. So now you made that particular image, right? So now if you go and look into the images, you just compile the code and you have it, and you look into the Docker images. So how much is the size? 692 MB. Now, if I just go and add one more VIM Docker file, and if I just go and give CMD, so then if I just go and say that, so Java, yeah, probably whatever you have, so Java, comma, hyphen jar, so which is actually going to be some, some jar file will come. Okay, I will probably rather than this, I would just see what are the files I'm going to get. Run ls target directory. Okay, so just actually if I go and build this and docker and ls is actually having this jar file. This is what I want, and vim docker file, and actually now in here I'm going to put cmd. I'm going to say that java -jar, so target folder / this path. Okay, so now I can run this. So now you do this and you run this container, it's actually going to run. Okay, so docker run and local, okay, and enter. So that application is going to run. I think something is missing there. Could not find main class. Java jar with dependency, right? So whatever it is, let it be for that. And so now this image is actually going to have so this much size. This image is having this much size. Now this image is having this much size. As this particular image is having this much size, now wherever it actually ships to all the servers, it actually goes over this much size. And this much size is really needed? No. Why? Because only the output is needed. The lot of size actually came out through the file of this. The size of this file is hardly something. The size is actually about the compilations. Okay, so we all compiled something, so that is where actually took something. We, in order to compile, actually you require some software. That compilation software took this much, and which we don't want the compilation software during the runtime. Compilation software is only during the making the binary. Once you have the binary, you don't really need them. So again, I had to go and delete them. So rather than that, what Docker tells you is you have Docker multi-stage building, Docker multi-stage build. Okay, if you go for Docker multi-stage build, this can help you solving the problem. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're just going to say you're going to write multiple from images. How do you do that? And how you get it is so here you can put some name. So basically from something as a name. Okay, so vim docker file. I'm going to say that this CentOS as a compiler. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here, and again one more from I'm going to add, and this one I'm going to say is you just copy from equal to compiler is equal to compiler, and you're going to say that you're going to copy this particular file. Okay, and also where you want to run from, I mean not this from, this is actually copy from is actually going to be is Java :8. Okay, and from you are going to copy from is equal to what is the from image here, compiler. Okay, you copy from there and this particular file and you copy to here. Okay, as probably let's say shipping.jar file. Okay, now you're going to run that particular not run cmd. What you're going to say is, so it's actually going to be java -jar. So it's actually going to be shipping.jar file. 7 quit. Now build this. Now you see how much less size is going to come down. Copy failed. I think full path I need to give probably. So copy failed because of some full path. /app/ yeah. So Docker images, now you see the latest image is local image is just 649 MB. No, this is not correct. What am I missing here?
So why we are giving command entry 2 times same? the jar file.
You're right. That is not needed, by the way.
Yes.
But still, the second image should be taken. No, from you have taken Java 8, or let's take something else. Yeah, so you see this. So you're getting reduced that to 151 MB. Okay, so you're just having Java inside that and your application, and where your compilers and all is here. Okay, so you're not going to use all those particular things, and you're just using only this much. See this? So this is how you save the size of the this is how you save the size of the size of the image as well. Okay, so using multi-stage building, you would be using this approach. Okay, so sometimes your compiling your software is going to have a big list, and you just need to think about what all the things which can go into compilation, and what all the things you require to run it, and just to try to separate them. And while you do the multi-frums, okay, like however we have done here, okay, cat Docker file, whatever we have tried to do it here. So if you try to do this way, so then what's going to happen is your image size
Raghu, your voice is not audible. Hello.
right? Yeah, and the last one which we are going to have is about the security issue. So now you have one image, and I'm going to have that particular image. I need to ensure that so that doesn't have any of the security vulnerabilities. Okay, so here if you go to the hub.docker.com and any of your images, you can enable scanning. Okay, like let's say you have front end, you can just go and click on that, and here settings. No, nothing. Webhooks. Where can I? Will it allow me to not allow me to scan? I thought these guys are providing. Let it be, not a problem. So if we can just push this particular image to so our AWS account into ECR, they provide this particular scanning out of box. Okay, and always you need to have the less vulnerabilities. If you have any vulnerabilities issues, you have to fix them. So probably we'll just take a look on that particular perspective. So sometimes in the Kubernetes area. So anyhow, from here on, what all the images I want to so what all the once we start the project, we'll be using ECR, which is the AWS Elastic Container Registry, which is a Docker registry like Docker Hub, which is inside Amazon. We'll be using that. But once after you start using it, we'll talk about that security. Okay, keep in mind, there is one more thing which you have to keep in mind about is security is a very important perspective, very, very, very important perspective, and we should not have any vulnerabilities, okay, before shipping the product. Right, so that's the one piece we'll took it into some time. So that's where the concludes to the Docker and its options. Okay, So, and its imaging and using it. So from tomorrow, we're going to start into the Kubernetes perspective. Okay. So that's all for today. Any questions? Okay, all right. So no questions, we'll meet in tomorrow's session and we'll continue there. Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye. Good day. Good night.